I want to talk a little bit about primaries because apparently some people don't know how they work, but they think that they know more about how they work than everyone else. This person says that Bernie won twice, then the DNC consolidated power behind Biden by having everyone else drop out. How exactly did the DNC force everyone to drop out? Candidates don't just drop out for no reason. When they go to primaries and they have races, they earn delegates. And they need those delegates in order to win the nomination of president. The candidates who dropped out didn't just drop out because the DNC told them to. They dropped out because they could not feasibly win enough delegates to win the nomination at that point. Looking at your comment, you say, no candidate in history has ever polled at the level Buttigieg was polling, but dropped out before Super Tuesday. It doesn't matter how good a candidate is polling if nobody comes and votes for him. Buttigieg dropped out because he placed fourth in the South Carolina primary. And as a result, he had no path to gain the DNC nomination. Buttigieg didn't win a single primary. It doesn't matter how you look at it. There was not a single primary in which he won during the 2020 primaries. His highest percentage was 25%, but Bernie still beat him. And the more the campaign went, the lower his numbers got. In much the same way as if you're selling a product, it doesn't matter how good the reviews are if nobody buys it, you're still not making any money. It doesn't matter how good he is at the polls if he isn't earning any votes. I talk about that in this video right here if you want more information about that. Let's see here. Your next claim is Bloomberg sank $2 billion into a no-chance bid just to derail Bernie. It's funny that you say that because Bernie's campaign lasted until the end of the primary. Bernie ended up losing the nomination at the end of the primary, which lasted until August 11th. However, Bloomberg dropped out of the race on March 4th. Way before Bernie lost. But also, I talk about in this video how money does not necessarily buy votes. Money buys attention, and we had Bernie's attention. Bernie lost in 2020, not because he was outfunded, but because we didn't show up to vote for him. In 2020, Bernie actually got fewer primary votes than he did in 2016. He got more primary votes in 2016 when people are saying that the primary was stolen from him. And I talk about that primary all the time, so just go watch my videos if you want to bring that one up. I even talk about 2016 a little bit in the video that you're commenting on, so just go back and watch that video again. But I know what everybody's going to say in this video. Oh, but my state is a closed primary state, and I made the decision to be independent. Well, if that's the case, you made that decision. When you had to register your party with the state, you decided that you did not want to be a part of the Democratic or Republican primaries. My question to you is, did you vote in an independent primary? If you aren't voting in independent primaries and you're registered as independent, then you are making the decision to not have anything to do with the Democratic primarying process and still complain about it. If you're in that situation, you may want to think about registering for the party that you want to change. If you want Democrats to change and you also don't want to vote in the Democratic primaries, then you don't really want them to change that much. Now, I also know a lot of you are thinking, well, we didn't get a Democratic primary this year. We can't rely on primaries. Now, unfortunately, I guess a lot of people don't know this, but we don't fully primary incumbents. The last time that we didn't get a full Democratic primary was in 2012. If you care about the primary this election cycle, but you haven't cared about the primary since 2012, you don't actually care about who the nomination is going to. Oh, and also presidential primaries, those aren't the only primaries happening this year. There's still congressional primaries happening. Did you vote in those? Because that's how laws are made. If you're frustrated with the system and how the system works, congressional elections, especially congressional primaries, that's how we determine that. Now, there are a lot of problems with our primary system. There are many different issues that I've covered in many different videos. It sucks that by the time Super Tuesday rolls around, that a lot of candidates have already dropped out in many cases. So some states get a bunch of candidates to choose from, and some states only get 2 or 3. And yes, the fact that some states have closed primaries, that is a huge problem. We shouldn't have closed primaries. But the way to resolve that isn't by complaining about it, it's by voting in your state elections. It also sucks that we don't have a national holiday for voting, including for primaries. I think every single election needs to be a holiday. And I don't mean like one of those holidays that retail workers and customer service workers still have to work, because they should be off too. And emergency workers should have early voting specifically for them in many cases. But you can't complain about these problems if you don't vote in the primaries for Congress people either. Because Congress is how you get this kind of stuff done. You can't sit here and say, well, I'll vote once it becomes a national holiday. That's literally just saying, I'll help fix the problem after the problem's fixed. But what about gerrymandering? Well, first off, U.S. Senate, the presidential elections, most local elections, and state governors are all popular vote. they cannot be gerrymandered. So you better go out and at least vote for your senator. But while you're on the ticket to vote for your senator, you should still vote for your House reps. Okay, but Nick, what about voter suppression? There's a lot of voter suppression. I don't have enough time to talk about it in this video, but I do talk about it in this one. It's pretty close to the top. But anyway, I just want to address the last 2 points that you have here. The first one was, why did you not address 2020? Because I thought that one was very obvious. But the last point that you have here is, you won't reply. Now, first off, if a content creator that has 500,000 followers doesn't reply to you, that doesn't mean that you have a good point. For instance, I got 19,000 comments in the last 7 days alone. If I don't get around to responding to somebody's comment, that doesn't mean they're right. That means that I have better things to do. But lastly, if you're gonna come into this comment section and cause some drama, I want you to admit that you are wrong about this right here at very least. Because I did reply. So you are wrong. And if you're going to come in here and try to have a reasonable conversation, you need to come in with good faith and admit when you're wrong. So come in and say that you're wrong. I was wrong, Nick. My bad.